Alright, so before I can add the trim to my window, I need to add a drip cap or drip edge to the top and to the bottom of the window. I've got two different materials that I'm going to be using here for that. So we'll measure the window up here, and we've got 49 and 5/8. Now the width of my trim, wood trim that I'm using, is 3.5, so I need trim on both sides. So we'll add 7 inches to 49 and 5/8, which will give me 56 and 5/8. 56 and 5/8, and then on top of that, I want to create a bit of a dam at the edge where you cut this and fold this section up, and same thing with that. So I'm going to need a 1/4 inch on both ends of that. So 59 and 5/8 plus another 1/4 inch on both ends, so another 1/2 inch. Did I say 59 and 5/8? I think I meant 56 and 5/8. So I'm going to be 57 and 1/8 is what I'm looking for on my length. Alright, now I'm going to make that little dam that I was talking about. Let's just measure this out again, make sure I got the right size. 57 and 1/8 is perfect. I'm going to measure up 1/4 inch. Okay, now I'm going to cut this back right there, that 1/4 inch. Now, where I created that overlink with the dam, I just need to trim that up. Now I just need to get a center mark in this, a center mark on the window, and then I know where I'm going to be nailing this in. Alright, now that I got that 3.5 marked off, I can nail this in. Alright, with the 2 pieces of drip cap on, now I'm going to install this red cedar lath, and it's going to mount here as well as the bottom and the top. And what that's going to do is it's going to hold my trim, the 1/4 inch thickness of this, away from the wall, which allows any water that could get behind it to just freely flow down, as well as it puts the trim out in a position where it will sit prow to the J that goes around the outside rather than the other way around. Okay, so that completes the cedar strip backing. Now I just have to cut my trim board, which I've already got a couple cut, so we'll just line one up and see what it looks like. That looks pretty good. So I'll be running my screws straight in through where I had my cedar lath in behind, and I'll be using probably about 2-inch screws, which should give me about an inch into the stud in the back, so those aren't going to go anywhere. Alright, now I'll measure out for my top 2 pieces. Alright, 56 5/8 top and bottom. Alright, so I just ran into an issue down on the bottom that I wasn't really thinking about. And down here, because the aluminum flashing comes down below where I'm going to put the screw in, the screw runs right into the aluminum flashing and then just kind of pulls the 1/4-inch strip right off. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to drill that out before I put my screw in there. So I'm going to get my lineup back up here. Hopefully I'm in the same spot. I've just got a small drill bit. And I'm just going to put that hole in the aluminum. And then I should be good to go. And there we go. Now, if you had self-tapping screws, you wouldn't even have to worry about this, but it's not a big deal to just put a couple of holes in. One more small drip cap that I'm going to be putting up at the top. It's the same style of drip cap as this one right here. So I just have to replicate what I did there, and it sits right on top of that. And then the J molding for the siding comes down on top of that. Alright, so I'm going to be using a 2x2 trim around the door, and basically it's going to cover up this gap, frame gap. That will screw to the studs in behind, and then there will be another one on top, and then the 1x4 trim will butt up against this, and then I'll run sealant on both sides to ensure that no water ever gets in there. Okay, so after doing all the trim and the drip cap to the windows and front door, I haven't done the side yet, I'm going to do that after. We're going to move on to doing the brickwork that I'm going to be doing on the shop, which is kind of like a pillar on either side of the front of the shop on the corners. It's going to be about 10-inch by 10-inch. Alright, so here's the product I'm using. This is called Fusion Stone, and this is the carbon color. It's the closest match that I could find to what the original owner of this house had used. Now, they used mortar on the front bricks, but I don't know how to do mortar yet, and I want to get this shop done, so we're going to be going with more of a DIY easy type stone. So these are all the corners. It comes with 4 12-inch corners, and then 8 of the 8-inch corners with a 4-inch overlap on the ends. And then there's the box of flat ones for the outside, and that totals about 5 square feet. Each block is about 5 inches high, so I want to go up 40 inches. We're going to need to go 8 high. Now, you buy a starter strip, and this is what it looks like right here. and it comes in a 4-foot length, and then you just cut it to whatever size you need. And if your holes that you put your screws through are not in the right spot, you can just drill new holes. And then basically how this works is the brick has a slot in the top and in the bottom, and this little groove right here fits in that slot just like that. So if that was on the bottom, that's your starter strip. That is how the lower part of that is secured. And then you have these clips that simply go in like that, and then you put your screw through, and that holds the top in place. This little ridge holds the top of that brick, and then your next brick goes right on top of that, and that's what secures it to the wall. All right, so let's get started. So I've already got one of the 12-inch corner bricks over here. I've got my starter strip over on the right as well as on the left. You need to get both of them in when you start your corner, or you'll wind up not having the proper gap in here. Like if I were to just take this starter strip off and slide that over, and then lift this off and screw that other starter strip on, I wouldn't have the spacing that I need to get this one in. So you got to make sure that when you do this, I mean, there's probably a measurement in the instructions, but I'm just gonna go like this and then use my level to get this level and that level. So I'm going to lift this up about 1/8 of an inch to allow for water to be able to come down and drain through the back should it ever get behind this brick. Now the screws that came with this are quite short. They're fine if you have plywood or OSB sheathing, but because I have dense glass, I need to get through a lot further. Now I'm going to show you what I had to do on the inside of the building so that I would have something to screw into, because right now I don't really know where the studs are unless I were to mark them out, and then even then this plate's probably not long enough. So what I wound up having to do inside is create a backer to my gypsum dense glass exterior sheathing. So this is a piece of 7/16 ply, and then I've got 2x2s screwed directly to it, and then the 2x2s are screwed to the studs, both on that corner and on that corner. And then the same thing done over on that wall. And that gives me a backing 40 inches high to be able to fasten all of my bricks to. So I've decided to give myself about 1/4 inch height above the ground. That way I've got no issues with clearance for water to get through. I'm going to need I want to go over 1 foot, so got 11 and a bit. See, they're not actually 12 inches. They say they're 12, but they're not. So I want to match this up. It's 12 to the very rough part of the outside. So you're going to want to find your most extreme outer edge, which in this case is right here, and to the inside I'm not quite 4 inches, so I guess technically this would be an 8. So let's see if they actually come with an 8. Okay, so it does come with an 8. I'm going to have to cut some of these down eventually because I'm going to run out of 8s fast, but this is going to show you at least how this works. And I'm a lot happier with that. I think that one's actually going to be perfect. So let's go ahead and put that one in. All right. First two bricks are down. Hard to tell, you know, how good it's going to look, but I'm thinking it's going to look pretty good. All right, putting the second brick on there, what I noticed is that you really need to put some downward force on it, because the clips on the bottom can pull up a little bit. Like, I'm actually going to pull this one off, and I'm just going to show you. And when you tighten these clips in, you can see there's a little bit of a spring to it there. Same thing with over there. When you put your next brick on, make sure you force it down a lot to hopefully push that clip down, or you're going to create a lot more of a gap in between your bricks. Now, I almost made a mistake here, and I was going to go with a 12 right there, but I want to go with an 8. And same thing with this one. I can see that I need to give it some downward force before I put my top clips in. All right, now we're getting to the point where I'm going to have to cut some bricks. So as I'm going along here, as simple as this may seem, you know, having the grooves and the clips, one thing you're going to have to watch for is that there's no debris in the groove that the clip goes in. I ran into that already, where it was sitting high and I couldn't figure it out. I knew I leveled it, and then I found a piece of debris in there that I had to get out, a piece of residual concrete or whatever they make these out of. The next thing I found is not all bricks are created equal. They're not the same size, they're not uniform, they're not exactly 5 inches. I don't know how their mold works, but things are a little bit different. So having an expectation of everything being perfectly level as you go up, it's not going to happen like that. So what I've found is I'm taking these clips and I'm bending them up a little bit. It still gives enough of the lip to catch the edge, but it allows it to lift up the next brick slightly to kind of balance it out. And then you're going to have to go along with a colored silicone or some sort of mortar or what have you, and go between all these cracks, because they're fairly open. I think the main part of this is that you don't have to put a mortar back to it. You don't have to worry about having something to adhere to, you know, because I have Den's glass and paper here. I'm sure they're, you know, to do this with real brick, you have to have a wood back to it. So this is great for quickly getting this on, but you are going to have to go back and put some silicone or some sort of filler in between these bricks to fill them up. All right, the stonework is done. So here's one corner. And then I flashed the top with actually some drip for window. And what I'm going to do right here is I'm just going to run a bead of silicone down here, nice white silicone. We'll cover that right up. Looking at the posts that I have, that's kind of what they did, but they just bent it around it. I'm not sure how else I would do that except for to maybe buy a special cap that goes around the corner like that. They probably make something, but since I had that around, that's what I used. This will all be hidden with red cedar on the side here. There's going to be red cedar running up here and over on this side as well. And then we'll go over and have a look at the other one, and then I'll talk to you about a problem that I ran into. I mean, it was kind of my own issue, not an issue with the stone itself. But the stone can be a little bit finicky with the clips, and not all the stone is the same size like it's supposed to be, but it's not. It ranges in thickness, it ranges in height, it even ranges in length, which I was kind of shocked because you would think these were all made in a mold, but regardless, yeah. So there was a bit of trimming to do to get everything nice and even, but in the end, I'm happy with the product. I paid $150 a box Canadian for the corners. It's probably a lot less in the United States, and $100 for the box of straight. Now I'm going to tell you the problem that I ran into. So here we are, 2 boxes of corners, 1 box of straight, and I'm out. I had just what I needed to finish both of these corners. This is 40 inches high, 12 by 12. So remember that. 2 boxes of corners, 1 box of straight, and you can accomplish this. But here's what I wound up having to do in the end. Now, one of my boxes of corners only came with 2 12-inch corners, and it's supposed to have 4 from what I understand, but I wasn't about to drive 30 miles to go take the box back while I'm in the middle of the project, so I just went with it. And this is what's left out of the 3 boxes, and mainly what this is it's corners. I had a lot of corners, but I was running out of the straight. So what I did is I just cut a lot of my 4-inch pieces off of the corners. Then I ran into another problem. Because I didn't have those 2 12s, I needed some 8s, and I knew I was going to run out of the straight stuff. So what I did is this is actually, is it this one? Where is that? There should be a couple of pieces here. Is that one of them? Yeah, that is one of them. So this is actually a corner. So like that. And this is like that. This is the piece of that corner. And what I did is this was a long piece out to here. And I just buzzed this whole edge right off, which gave me a long 8-inch flat piece, which was perfect. I'll show you where I put them. I wound up needing one right there. That's actually a corner that I took the front edge off. Let's see, there's another one around the side over here somewhere. Maybe even 2 right there. That was a corner that I had to take the edge off. I think I wound up doing it to 3, but it still looks fine. I mean, once you put your J-molding for your vinyl siding up against this area down here, and then run whatever type of silicone or sealant that I use for this, you're not even going to be able to tell that that was a corner piece. So there's the issues that I ran into using 3 boxes for these 2 12 by 12 corners. It can be done. Just take your time, and hopefully you get the 2 12-inch pieces that I was missing, that you actually get 4 12s. Maybe open your box before you take them from the store and just have a look and make sure that you're actually getting all the proper pieces in the box. I guess somebody got lazy and quality control did not have a good enough look before they closed the boxes up. But I like the way they look. Now we will cap off the top over there, and I still have to figure out how I'm going to get a 2x10 20-footer home. Okay, with the trim all completed, I'm going to move on to doing the red cedar corner accents. I'm just going to stain these first, and then we'll brad nail them to the side of the wall above where the stone is. Guys, so we're going to move on to adding the red cedar trim that I stained yesterday. This is basically to look like a pillar on the side of the building, but built into the building. Now, if I didn't get that exactly perfect up there, if I'm off by a little bit, it doesn't matter, because when I trim this out, I'll be able to adjust that. I kind of want it to be a little bit lower anyway. I'm going to be putting a 2x8 fascia board up top there, so I want to have room to be able to get that in and line it up perfectly with the bottom of the soffit. Now, the stain that I'm using for this is hang on, let's turn that around. 716 Cedar Natural Tone Semi-Transparent. Alright guys, well, it turns out that my super expensive $12 3/4 by 3/4 are not the same thickness as the 1x6 that I bought from another store. So I don't know if you can see that, but we got quite a bit of a difference there. Now, if I would have known that when I put my trim up, I could have adjusted for it, but a little bit disappointing. So there goes 12 bucks down the drain for now until I can use them for something else. But what I do have is, this was the remaining piece from when I cut all of the full length ones down to the 1.5 inch, and it just so happens to be almost perfectly square and the same dimensions as this. So I've got 2 of these. I'm going to stain them up. Unfortunately, one of them, when I went to cut through it, the knot popped out, but I'm going to just leave it. I'm going to put it on the back corner, or the corner of the building over there for now, and I'll probably just use some sort of wood filler or something to fill that in. But yeah, I'm glad that I actually had these so that I don't have to go spend another 20 bucks for some 3/4 by 3/4 or 1x1s. So let's get these stained up, but before I do that, I'm just going to add the other cross trim in. Alright, so after trimming out the corners, I've decided that I don't quite like the way that it looks, having to add this piece of 1x1 or 3/4 by 3/4 into that corner. That it doesn't look right over here now, and it doesn't look right over here. So tomorrow, when Pioneer opens up, because I just raced up there and it wasn't open. I'm gonna go buy another 1x8 and rip it down into 4 more pieces of 1.5 inch, and just turn those pieces of 1.5 inch on their edge and nail it in right there, which will give me the exact same look that I've got here over there. I thought about using the 2 pieces of 1x1 that I bought from Rona, but unfortunately they're 1 inch and it doesn't look right. And then I'd still have to have something to put as a backer behind it, and just not going to bother. Just go buy another 1x8 and rip it down. But I like the way that it looks. Can't wait to get the siding on here. Going to be ordering the vinyl shake tomorrow for an insane amount of money. I couldn't believe it. I need 1 box of vinyl shake for the peak up there. It's 100 square feet and it's going to cost me $504 out the door. $504 for that. Then I need that 1x8 fascia that I'm going to run across from that corner over to that corner. That's probably going to cost me $100. So $600. Then I need the drip cap for the top of that 2x8 and the bottom of the 2x8, which is I think they're about $6.50 each. So I think I may have some. I'll have a look at it, but it's gonna be another $25. So just from where the cedar up is, it's going to cost me around $650. And then I still need the 2 pieces of 2x8 red cedar for the fascia board that goes on the overhang, and those are $75 each. So another 150. So well, I don't even know where I'm at anymore. It's like $800 from that cedar on the edge up. $800. And the cedar that I have on here on the corners there just cost me what was it? Probably about $130. And then the rock was $140. Gosh, I think we're at about $1,000 for what's remaining to do on the front of this building. It is crazy how much supplies has gone up. It's not just lumber. They are raising the prices on everything. All right, wait till tomorrow and go over and grab that fascia board and the 1x8.